Common wisdom holds that power is lost in a single dramatic stroke. We imagine the king falling in battle, the CEO fired in a public scandal, or the sudden violent collapse of a fortune. We are conditioned by cinema to fear the loud, the sudden, and the catastrophic. But this is a lie. Power does not vanish overnight. It is not stolen by a thief in the dark. Instead, it erodes. It crumbles away in silence, grain by grain, often in the very places you would least expect to find danger. It is a slow hemorrhage of the soul, invisible until the moment you try to stand up and realize you no longer have the legs to support your own weight. Today, we are going to perform an autopsy on your reality.
Part 1. The Autopsy of Reality. I want you to look at your life right now. Not at your bank account, and certainly not at your job title, but at your environment. Consider the physical and digital spaces you frequent on a daily basis. How many of them are insidiously draining your mental sovereignty without your conscious awareness? As far back as 1513, Niccolò Machiavelli, the exiled master of strategy, astutely observed that one's surroundings could prove to be a more formidable and swifter destroyer than any overt enemy. An enemy army? You can see them, you can build walls against them, but a toxic environment? It is like a colorless, odorless gas. You breathe it in every single day, and you do not realize you are dying until it is too late. Machiavelli put forth a disquieting assertion that a person is ultimately defined by the territory they choose to inhabit. If this profound insight holds true, then where in your life is your personal power quietly dissipating? Stay with me. We are going to dismantle the 7 external traps, the parasites of the modern world, that are currently holding your potential hostage. This is not self-help. This is self-defense. Part 2. The Prince in Exile. Context. To understand the trap, we must first look at the man who mapped it. Picture Florence, 1513. Niccolò Machiavelli, once a powerful diplomat moving amongst kings and popes, has fallen. He has been stripped of his office, imprisoned, tortured on the rack, and finally banished to a small, dusty farm in San Casciano. He is surrounded by nothing but chickens, mud, and the noise of rural tavern gamblers. For a man of intellect, this environment was not just boring, it was lethal. It was a slow poison designed to kill his mind. In a famous letter to his friend Francesco Vittori, Machiavelli described how he survived. During the day, he would trudge through the mud, arguing with woodcutters and playing cards with the local innkeeper for pennies. He allowed himself to be submerged in the mediocrity of his surroundings. But when evening came, everything changed. He would return home, strip off his mud-stained clothes, and put on the regal robes of court he had saved from his former life. Only then would he enter his study. He wrote, "I step inside the venerable courts of the ancients, where, solicitously received by them, I nourish myself on that food that alone is mine, and for which I was born, where I am not ashamed to converse with them and to question them about the motives for their actions, and they, out of their human kindness, answer me." Do you see what he did? He physically inhabited a prison, but he mentally constructed a palace. He understood that if he allowed the tavern mind to infect his evenings, he would cease to be Machiavelli. He would become just another bitter peasant complaining about the weather. You may not be an exile in 16th century Italy, but make no mistake, you are under siege. The modern world has constructed a tavern around you, a digital, social, and professional tavern designed to keep you muddy, distracted, and weak. Let us now walk through the 7 doors of this tavern, the 7 external parasites that are feeding on your power.
Part 3. The 7 external parasites. 1. The company of the mediocre, the osmosis trap. The first dangerous site is not a building, It is a circle of flesh and blood. Machiavelli asserted that personal power inevitably dissolves when you consistently surround yourself with individuals who demand nothing of themselves. In the UK, we have a particular cultural weakness for this. We call it not making a fuss or fitting in. We tolerate mediocrity because we are too polite to challenge it. We often think we are immune to the influence of others. We think, I am strong, their laziness won't affect me. This is arrogance, pure, unadulterated arrogance. The human spirit inevitably comes to resemble those with whom it keeps company. It is a process of osmosis. If you sit in a pub with 5 people who have given up on their dreams, you will be the 6th. It is mathematical. Shared mediocrity transforms into a corrosive habit. It lowers your baseline. In their presence, your grand ideas appear exaggerated. Your discipline feels like trying too hard. They don't need to attack you. They simply drag you down to their level through the sheer gravity of their inaction. You must audit your circle. You do not need to be cruel, but you must be distant. Withdraw your energy from the mediocre, or you will drown with them.
2. The echo chamber, the digital sycophants. The second trap is the circle where everyone agrees with you. In the Renaissance courts, princes were surrounded by sycophants, flatterers who would praise every word the prince spoke to gain favor. Machiavelli warned that this flattery was the sweetest poison because it intoxicated the recipient and detached them from reality. Today, you do not need to hire sycophants. You carry them in your pocket. The algorithms of YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok are the most efficient sycophants in history. They are designed to show you only what you already believe. They mirror your biases back to you until you are convinced that your worldview is the only worldview. This feels good. It feels like validation. It feels like truth. But when you inhabit an environment where your ideas are never challenged, where your jokes are always laughed at, and where your mistakes are always excused by a chorus of internet strangers, you are rotting. Growth requires friction. A muscle only grows when it encounters resistance. A mind only sharpens when it strikes against the whetstone of a differing opinion. If you scroll through your feed and find yourself nodding in agreement at everything you see, you are not informing yourself. You are slowly blinding yourself.
3. The Plaza of Lament, the culture of complaint. This is perhaps the most pervasive environment in modern Britain. It is the lunchroom where colleagues gather to moan about the boss. It is the family gathering where everyone competes to see who has the hardest life. It is the comment section of the daily news. Machiavelli would call this the Plaza of Lament. It is dangerous because it feels productive. Complaining feels like doing something. It releases tension. It builds a perverse kind of camaraderie. But in reality, it is a massive leakage of power. When you inhabit a space of constant complaint, you are training your brain to look for problems rather than solutions. You are adopting the identity of the victim. And a victim can never be a sovereign. A victim waits for a savior. A sovereign saves themselves. If you linger here too long, you will forget your own ability to take decisive action. You will begin to believe that the system is rigged, that the weather is against you, that the economy is the sole reason for your stagnation. Become a grey rock to complainers. Do not engage. Do not nod. Starve the negativity of your attention.
4. The stage of masks, the exhaustion of persona. These are the spaces, professional or social, where you feel compelled to pretend to be someone else just to survive. We all wear masks occasionally. Diplomacy requires it. But Machiavelli noted that if you wear a mask for too long, the mask eventually eats the face. You forget who you are beneath it. Think of the energy it takes to maintain a lie. Think of the corporate you, the one who uses buzzwords, who laughs at unfunny jokes, who feigns enthusiasm for projects that make your soul wither. This performance consumes a massive amount of mental RAM. It leaves you with zero energy for your actual work,
your actual passions, or your actual life. In Florence, Machiavelli saw politicians who tried to be everything to everyone. They ended up being nothing to anyone. They weren't hated, but they were not respected. And without respect, power evaporates. Identify where you are performing. Stop. The moment you stop trying to impress people you don't like, you reclaim a vast reservoir of energy. 5. The realm of noise, the attention economy. Machiavelli lived in a noisy time of swords and markets, but he could not have imagined the noise of the 21st century. This dangerous sight is the relentless digital den of distractions, the constant notifications, the endless scroll, the 24-hour news cycle screaming for your fear. When you inhabit the realm of noise, your attention is shattered into 1,000 tiny shards. You cannot focus. You cannot think deeply. You become a reactive creature, swatting at flies instead of steering the ship. A scattered mind is a weak mind. A distracted individual loses strength, not for lack of intelligence, but for an inability to bring that intelligence to bear on a single point. Machiavelli famously declared, "Power truly belongs to him who masters silence." If you check your phone the moment you wake up, you have already surrendered your territory. You have allowed the world to march its muddy boots into your bedroom before you have even put on your armor. 6. The nest of envy, tall poppy syndrome. These are environments where every accomplishment is seen as a threat, not an inspiration. Have you ever shared good news only to be met with a cold silence or a backhanded compliment? "Oh, well done on the promotion. I suppose you won't have time for us anymore." You are in the nest of envy. In the UK, we struggle deeply with this. We dislike those who rise too fast. We want to cut the tall poppy down to size. In these toxic spaces, the group enforces an unspoken rule: you are not better than us. If you stay here, you will unconsciously begin to self-sabotage. You will shrink yourself. You will hide your wins. You will speak more softly. You will diminish your light just to keep the peace. Machiavelli recognized this profound truth. Whoever fears to shine has already surrendered. Envy is contagious, and it creates a crab bucket mentality where anyone trying to climb out is pulled back down. Leave. Do not try to fix envious people. Their envy is not about you. It is about their own emptiness. VI. The trap of comfort, the heated cage. Finally, the most subtle and lethal of all external parasites. This is the environment where nothing demands anything of you. The job is easy. The salary is okay. The routine is set. The heating is always on. Machiavelli deemed this the most perilous threshold. Why? Because struggle is the engine of vitality. Comfort acts as an anesthetic for the soul. It lulls you into a sleep. You tell yourself you are content, but actually you are stagnating. You are being domesticated. To Machiavelli, domestication was the most elegant form of slavery. A wolf that is fed by a master is no longer a wolf. It is a dog. It has traded its freedom for a full belly. If your life is too easy, you must artificially inject difficulty. Take a harder course, train harder, set an impossible goal, wake up the wolf. We have surveyed the landscape outside your walls. We have identified the thieves in the marketplace and the poison in the tavern. But Machiavelli understood that the most devastating prisons are not made of stone, nor are they populated by other people. They are constructed within the confines of our own skulls. You carry these sites with you. You sleep in them. You wake up in them. And unless you evict yourself from them, no amount of changing your external environment will save you. Let us now turn the scalpel inward. Part 4. The 7 internal prisons. We have evicted the squatters from your physical reality. But now we face a far more formidable enemy. Machiavelli warned that the fortress with the thickest walls is useless if the commander inside is asleep. The most devastating prisons are not made of stone. They are constructed within the neural pathways of your own skull. Let us unlock the 7 internal rooms where your power goes to die. 1. The altar of memory, the rumination loop. The first internal site is the altar of memory. It is that one failure from 5 years ago, that one rejection in a pub, that one betrayal by a business partner. You do not just remember these events, you worship them. You revisit this scene incessantly. You replay it in 4K resolution. You analyze what you should have said. You draft the perfect comeback in the shower years too late. In British psychology, we often call this rumination, but let us call it what it is: necromancy. You are trying to raise the dead. You are sacrificing your present moment, the only currency you actually possess, to a ghost. Machiavelli knew that a leader who looks backward cannot navigate forward. The past is a reference point, not a residence. What happened, happened. It is dead. Stop trying to resuscitate a corpse. Fight. The Machiavellian exercise. The cremation of regret. Tonight, write down the memory that haunts you on a physical piece of paper. Be specific. Write down exactly what you lost. Then take a lighter and burn it. Watch it turn to ash. This is not magic. It is a neurological signal. You are telling your brain, the transaction is complete. The debt is paid.
2. The theatre of anticipated fear, the catastrophizing engine. The second room is the theatre of anticipated fear. This is the cinema where you watch horror movies that haven't been filmed yet. It is the space of what if? What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if the market crashes? In this mental construct, you become a prisoner of hypothetical scenarios that do not exist. You suffer the pain of failure without ever having tried. You suffer the shame of rejection without ever having asked. Seneca, a philosopher Machiavelli deeply admired, stated, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Fear is imagination misused. It is using your creative power to construct your own dungeon. Most of the things you fear will never happen, and if they do, you will handle them then. Do not bleed before you are cut. SWAT, the Machiavellian exercise, premeditatio malorum. Instead of vaguely fearing the worst, define it. Ask yourself, if I take this risk and everything goes wrong, what is the absolute worst-case scenario? Usually the answer is not death, it is embarrassment, and embarrassment is not fatal. Once you define the monster, it loses its ability to scare you in the dark.
3. The court of comparison, the social scoreboard. The third is the court of comparison. This is the internal courtroom where you are always on trial, and the jury is made up of strangers you see on Instagram. You endlessly measure your behind-the-scenes reality against everyone else's highlight reel. To compare is to hand the keys of your kingdom to others. You permit them to dictate your worth. A mind engaged in comparison never governs itself. It merely obeys the standards set by others. It creates a permanent state of lack. You are always not enough, not rich enough, not fit enough, not witty enough. There is no competition. There is only you and your potential. SWOT, the Machiavellian exercise, the singular metric. For the next 7 days, banish all external metrics. Do not look at likes, views, or bank balances of peers. Ask yourself one question at the end of each day. Am I more capable today than I was yesterday? If the answer is yes, you are winning. If the answer is no, you are losing. That is the only scoreboard that matters.
4. The dungeon of resentment, the heavy armor. The fourth is the dungeon of resentment. Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. This is the internal site where you store your grudges. You keep a ledger of everyone who has ever wronged you. You think this anger protects you. You think it keeps you sharp.
But Machiavelli would tell you that resentment is a heavy suit of armor. It might protect you from a blow, but it is so heavy that it prevents you from moving. It binds you to the person you hate. As long as you resent them, they are renting space in your head for free. They are influencing your mood, your decisions, and your blood pressure, whilst they are likely out enjoying their dinner, completely oblivious to your existence. The Machiavellian exercise, the empty chair. Visualize the person you resent sitting in an empty chair opposite you. Say out loud everything you want to say to them. Scream if you must. Then say, "I release you," not for your sake, but for mine. Evict them. Reclaim the mental square footage.
5. The void of self-denial, the imposter. The fifth is the debilitating space of self-denial. This is the voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are? You are a fraud. You don't belong here." This is the imposter syndrome. It is an internal construct built from the adopted voices of others, parents, teachers, society. It is a self-imposed ceiling. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the bold. The world does not give power to those who ask for permission. It gives power to those who take it. When you deny your own power, you are insulting the potential that was placed within you. You are capable of infinitely more than you believe. The only thing stopping you is the story you keep telling yourself. Swart, the Machiavellian exercise, Iliism, the third person. When you feel weak, stop saying, "I." Speak to yourself in the third person, as Julius Caesar did. Instead of saying, "I am scared," say, "Your name is feeling fear, but your name will act anyway." This linguistic shift creates psychological distance. It separates the rational sovereign from the emotional animal. 6. The waiting room, the procrastination trap. The sixth is the waiting room. This is the most crowded room in all of humanity. It is the deceptive mental space where you convince yourself that tomorrow you will change. I'll start the business when the economy is better. I'll go to the gym when I have more time. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. It creates a state of suspended animation. You are not living, you are waiting to live. Machiavelli utterly despised this sight. He knew that opportunity, fortuna, is a fleeting force. She must be seized. She does not wait for you to be ready. Prolonged waiting destroys more lives than failure ever could. Failure is at least an outcome. Waiting is a void. Sword, the Machiavellian exercise, the sword stroke. Identify one action you have been delaying. Do it within the next 5 minutes. Not the whole project, but the first strike. Send the email, book the ticket, buy the domain. Action clears the fog of fear. 7. The site of self-deception, the room of lies. Finally, the most dangerous room, the room of lies. This is where you justify your bad habits, where you blame your lack of results on bad luck or the system, where you tell yourself you are working hard when you are actually just busy. Machiavelli warned that any prince who cannot look at himself with brutal honesty is condemned to lose his throne. You cannot fix a problem you refuse to acknowledge. Self-deception is the blindfold you tie around your own eyes before walking onto a battlefield. The Machiavellian exercise, the brutal audit. Look in the mirror. Ask, what is the one truth I am avoiding? Say it out loud. It will hurt, but that pain is the feeling of the blindfold coming off.
Part 5. The Sovereign's Return. Conclusion. Now take a breath. You might be feeling a sense of heaviness. You might recognize yourself in the plaza of lament. Or you might realize you have been living in the waiting room for 10 years. This discomfort is good. It is the pain of waking up. Machiavelli did not write his philosophy to depress you. He wrote it to arm you. He teaches us that preserving power is not just about conquering new lands. It is about strategic withdrawal. It is about the courage to walk away. To walk away from the table where respect is no longer served. To walk away from the friends who anchor you to the bottom. To walk away from the thoughts that make you small. When you make the conscious decision to close these doors, both the external doors of toxic environments and the internal doors of toxic thoughts, something miraculous happens. Your energy ceases to leak. Your focus returns. Your will becomes a single sharp arrow instead of a scattered shotgun blast. You do not need to add anything to your life to become powerful. You simply need to subtract the things that make you weak. True power has always been available to you. It was just buried under the noise, the envy, the fear, and the mediocrity. Imagine your life as a kingdom. You are the sovereign. For too long, you have allowed squatters, thieves, and vandals to live in your palace. You have allowed weeds to grow in your gardens. Today is the day you issue the eviction notice. Machiavelli insisted that the strongest ruler is not the one who governs a vast empire of land, but the one who profoundly governs his own presence in the world. Reclaim your territory. Guard your mind like a fortress. Be ruthless with your environment. Thank you for accompanying me on this deep reflection. If this discourse stirred something essential within you, do not let it fade. The algorithms want you to click away, to forget, to return to the sleep of the mediocre. Defy them. Subscribe to the channel not for entertainment, but to join a minority who refuse to be domesticated. Leave a comment below declaring which prison you are breaking out of today. I will be reading. And now, I leave you with one question to answer in the silence of your own heart. The door is open. Why are you still sitting there?